Each year on September the 8th, the Church celebrates the birth of the Virgin Mary. The community of friars of St. Francis, together with the local church, went on pilgrimage to the place where the Madonna was born. Cesarea Philippi, city founded by the son of Herod and place of the important biblical episode in which Jesus declared to the apostle, "You are Peter, on this rock I will build my church." It is harvest time in Cremizan, from July to October. Also in Cremizan, the bunches of grapes are gathered to create the typical wines of the region. Hummus, one of the traditional dishes of Arab cuisine. The chickpea-based spread or dip considered one of the oldest dishes in existence. Discovering the Jerusalem of the past with the technology of the future. Thanks to technology, today it is possible to make a journey through time and contemplate the city of Jerusalem as it was 2,000 years ago. Each year on September the 8th, the Church celebrates the birth of the Virgin Mary. And like each year, the community of friars of St. Francis, together with the local church, went on pilgrimage to the place where, according to tradition, the Madonna was born. For us it is an important place. Since the 15th century, each year we come to this place where Mary was born to celebrate the feast of her birth. For us Franciscans of the Holy Land, it is very important to celebrate the liturgy that corresponds to the event in the place where the event took place. According to the Gospel of St. James, the birth of the Virgin Mary occurred near the temple, and since the 5th century onwards, pilgrims celebrated the occasion in this place. Here, a church was erected which in 1192, after the defeat of Jerusalem and the conquest of Salah ed-Din, was transformed into an Islamic college. It was during this Muslim occupation that the Franciscans of the custody obtained access to the crypt in order to continue to venerate this holy place. We come to this place where Mary was born, a few steps from the temple, where her father was a priest. This place belongs to France. It is guarded by the White Fathers, but the friars, Franciscans, for many centuries have had the opportunity to celebrate in this site. It was in 1856, after the Crimean War, that the building was donated to France. Restored, it was then donated to the White Fathers, who still take care of it.
So the White Fathers arrived here in 1878, so we celebrate today, this year 140th anniversary of our arrival in Jerusalem. At the same time, our society itself celebrates its 150th anniversary. Because our founder, he had a special love for the East, for the churches in the Middle East. He had been sent to Lebanon to help the Christians in 1860. So when he had his missionaries at his disposal, he sent them also here to work with the churches in the Middle East, and especially with an idea of working for Christian unity.
On the day of Mary's birth, the dawn of salvation is announced. The fathers of the church state, as emphasized in the homily of Father Stephan, that the Virgin Mary to the church is as the dawn is to the firmament. The Virgin Mary, in fact, precedes the sun.
But for me, it's especially, I would see this healing place of Bethesda. When Jesus healed the paralytic with his word, it's a place of healing. And then, of course, the place of the birth of Mary, where we, as it is said, something new started in this world. It's not the beginning of salvation, that's with Christ, but it's the first light before the sun comes up.
The landscape is amazing for its fauna, flora and abundance of waters, which form a series of water catchment areas within the Banias National Park, one of the distributary channels of the Jordan River, and a 10-meter waterfall, the largest in Israel. The numerous natural resources have made Banias a place of pagan worship, especially of the god Pan, from which derives the name of the place Panias, in Arabic Banias, since in the Arabic language there is no letter P. The archaeologist of Israel's National Park, Ben Yosef, explains how excavations began in the last century. In 1988, remains of the Romans and Byzantine eras were discovered. Archaeological discoveries and testimonies of different historical periods, including the Battle of Banias, when the present territory of the Holy Land was subjected to the Seleucid domination. 30 years later, the attempt to introduce the customs of the Hellenistic culture caused the revolt of the Maccabees to break out.
And the city known firstly at the year 200 BC, where there was a great war here between people from Greek. This is the war between the house of Seleucus against the house of Ptolemais. And after this war, the land and the city itself was part of the Seleucus Empire at the year 200. That's what we know about this place. And they started building it. Now they built it after a very certain goddess, Hellenistic goddess, called Pan.
In the Hellenistic era, the city experienced moments of prestige. Here Herod built a temple in honor of Emperor Caesar Augustus, and before dying divided his kingdom among his 3 sons. Banias was destined for Philip, who made it the capital of his kingdom by giving it the name Cesarea of Philippi, to distinguish it from Caesarea Maritima on the coast of the Mediterranean Sea. During his reign, the region developed economically and culturally. Coins were minted, the temples, baths, theatres and other public buildings were built. Here an important fact occurred for Christianity. Jesus passed through here and asked the disciples how he was perceived by the people. Then he proceeded to ask the same thing directly to them. "But what about you?" he asked. "Who do you say I am?" Starting from here, Peter's beautiful response and a revelation of his mission. Peter will profess with his inspired answer, and the Lord Jesus answers with Peter's mission. "You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church." Jesus left Judea and Galilee and went to the borders of the Promised Land, almost amongst the pagans, and there he asked that question about why his identity was not confused with the messianism of his time. From the moment Peter receives the revelation of the Father, Jesus understands that the Father chose him among the brothers as the foundation stone on which the church will be built.
Il Signore Gesù vuole che la sua identità di Messia non sia confusa e vuole sapere qual è l'identità.
The Lord Jesus wished that his identity as Messiah could not be misunderstood and wanted to know how the people and the pagans identified him. That is, it would have been an open church with an open identity of Jesus and an identity of Peter and of the church itself, very open. These 2 themes, the divinity of Christ and the primacy of Peter, are today the terms of discussions of ecumenical dialogue between Christian confessions and interreligious dialogue with other religious confessions, ready to recognize in Jesus a prophet, a Messiah, but certainly not his divinity.
Interreligioso con le altre confessioni religiose che sarebbero disposte a riconoscere in Gesù un profeta, un Messia, ma non certo la sua divinità.
The archaeological site is located at the foot of Mount Hermon on the Golan Heights, near the border with Syria and Lebanon. Those visiting it can see the ruins of different eras, ancient structures, palaces, an old watermill in operation, the grotto of Pan, and even touch the refreshing waters of the Hermon River. But above all, the place marks the moment where the identity of Christ and the mission of Peter were understood. The yellow leaves, the red bunches of grapes. An ancient and very important rite, the harvesting of grapes. The harvest is a ritual that is repeated every year. It is an ancient tradition worth rediscovering and which allows people to get closer to nature. The season, depending on the area, runs from July to October. In the Holy Land too it is harvest time, and in the Crimisian Valley, 5 kilometers from Bethlehem and 12 kilometers from Jerusalem, local workers are already at work.
La giornata splendida oggi di Cremison.
On this wonderful day in Crimisian we are picking red Baladi grapes, which exist only in our land. We harvest about 10-11 tons each year, and almost 40% of this is exported abroad.
Quasi il 40% di questa quantità va all'estero.
It was back in 1885 when Don Antonio Belloni, an Italian missionary, started the Crimisian wine cellar. For a few years, the priest had committed himself to buying hectares of land with the intention, through the wisdom and care of many, to create a vineyard which would help to maintain the Salesian activities.
I Salesiani hanno visto che era una bella opportunità.
The Salesians saw that it was a good opportunity. They could work and, thanks to their own efforts, maintain the studies of future priests who were at the service of the Salesian mission here in the Middle East.
Salesiana qua in Medio Oriente.
Deep in the hills, in the shade of ancient olive trees and a large pine forest, grows a local grape which only exists on these terraces. A varied production, from mass to table wines, white and red.
Dio dall'inizio dell'umanità ci ha messo in un...
Since the beginning of humanity, God put us in a garden which He wanted to be a harmonious place for man, nature and His presence. Working, being here among these olive trees, among the bunches, is a bit like working so that His original project can resume its path, and at the end of humanity we can all remain in this harmony, which God dreamed for us from the beginning.
Alla fine dell'umanità possiamo entrare tutti in questa armonia che Dio ha sognato per noi dall'inizio.
For over 125 years among olive trees and orchards to create a wine with a taste of salvation.
Come diciamo tante volte nell'Eucaristia.
As we say so many times in the Eucharist, wine is truly both a gift of God and a fruit of man's work. And this is the history of salvation. Without His gift we cannot do anything. He makes them grow. He gives us the rain, which is fundamental. He gives us the seed.
Ci dona il seme.
Hummus is a major icon of Arab cuisine. Its origins is not precise, but some traditions define it as one of the oldest dishes in the world. However, it is known that chickpeas, the main ingredients of hummus, have been cultivated in the Middle East for thousands of years. We went to Bethlehem to appreciate and, of course, to taste this delicacy. But first of all, let's discover how it is prepared.
We put the hummus in the water a day before, and then the day after we boil it and, until like the hummus become very soft, and then we smash it in the machine as you see there with the garlic and the lemon and the salt and the sesame paste until like it become white and smoothie and whitish.
Chickpeas are rich in protein, fiber, iron, folic acid, phosphate and vitamin B. A complete dish from the nutritional point of view. Not surprisingly, hummus is very popular.
It's tasty and it's also a cultural heritage. I come from California, San Francisco. My family lives here in Bethlehem, and every time I come to visit them, I enjoy eating here. This restaurant is perfect. Thank you for making this recipe so tasty and traditional.
In this restaurant, producing and selling hummus is more than just a job. It's a family legacy.
Aftim restaurant is owned by a family which they are refugees from Jaffa. They came in the 1948 here, and at that time the family they don't have any business to care about them. So they started making falafel in a booth in the major square. Then they moved to other place in the major square, and that was the history from the 50s till now. And now we are like the cousins and the brother. We're working in the restaurant, trying to save and take care about this message, which was given by our grandfathers and ancestors.
With falafel, a fried ball made with chickpeas, and the famous pita bread, hummus is even tastier. And what makes this restaurant even more special is the fact that it is very close to the Basilica of the Nativity, where Jesus was born.
We consider it as it's a blessing to have such a restaurant like in such place near to the Church of the Nativity, and also like many tourists, they consider like coming to Bethlehem, they have to visit the Church of the Nativity and taste the falafel, which is near to the major square.
It is not easy to see Jerusalem as it appears today and imagine it as it was 2,000 years ago, because due to the action of time, destruction and natural phenomena, the holy city underwent many transformations. Today, however, thanks to virtual reality, visitors to the Tower of David Museum have the opportunity to view the place and even walk in it as it was 2,000 years ago. You can now enter into the Antonia fortress, walk among the public monuments, the markets and the streets of this which is amongst the oldest cities in the world. It is also impressive to see the summit of Herod's palace and the second temple of Jerusalem. In this sacred site the presentation of Jesus took place, and he came here many times with the Holy Family to follow the precepts of the Jewish faith.
Everyone's been in the situation where we've been at the Roman Forum or this ancient site. It's hot, it's sunny, there's an information board, we can't be bothered reading it. But with this virtual reality technology, we can actually step inside the recreation that the archaeologists have developed through research, through working with 3D modelers and with software engineers to present the information directly to you where you need it.
The virtual experience allows visitors to delve into the mystery of the Holy City, to get an idea of the space and explore the religious, social and commercial reality of that era. For tourist guides, it's a new way of telling the story.
We used to bring people over here and show them the pool and let them try their imagination to see what it was. And then we came up with a picture which is really helpful and does give a better idea of the way it looked. But then we moved forward like a mile away, and with the virtual reality, everybody can look at it and see the way it actually looked like, 360 degrees, and people get it much better, easier, and it's much better for us to do our job.
A project already existing in countries such as Portugal, Spain, Italy and Greece, which has acquired form thanks to the commitment of archaeologists, artists and software developers. A group of 15 people maximum and children over 12 years of age can participate in the tour, lasting 3 hours. The route starts at the Tower of David, passes through the Wailing Wall at the ends of the Cardo, located in the Jewish quarter of the Old City.
We will take them from here, from the Herodian Tower, to discover Jerusalem by the time of King Herod, Second Temple period, enjoying the present of Jerusalem, but again, with our technology, people can enjoy also the past. It was colorful, the markets, the people, the food, the fashion. We want to take them back in history and see how Jerusalem looked like, and actually it was maybe even beautiful than it's today. And we invite people to join our tours and discover Jerusalem of the past by using the technology of the future.